Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Thursday, September 25. And weakness in the overnight. Look at that thing coming apart. And looking at across the various stock portfolios here, and it's absolutely everything is down and down big. This could be the start of a little bit of a sell-off day. It can certainly be starting off weak enough, that's for sure. So. Steady selling, net selling since the London Open, and we have taken out the 66 70s, and I think we may be in a spot where we may see this whole area get closed out. So today very much feels like a day where, if you look at this, could be a move out of the middle to the downside, building based on this little dynamic, the distribution we had here at the 6705s. We're still technically in stage two. If you remember from the last high, we're still retracing. So I'm fine looking for a spot to cut off the selling, and we can certainly find a spot like that today. But starting off the trading day, man, that looks pretty gnarly. So it definitely it's a lot of selling pressure in the market right now. So we'll see. I mean, I'm not going to be necessarily predicting a sell-off right now, but it definitely looks like it. So if they don't find their footing pretty quick, we may have a pretty brutal trading day to the downside, that is. So, but I've been talking about it for a while. It's not by any means any surprise. We initiated a couple of days backing off the high fine, but one of these days you're going to get one of those elevator down there kind of days, and it's going to be one of those which just takes you by surprise, and it just never stops selling, and that's just the nature of it. So starting off at this point from the short side of the market, same as I would have been a little bit more range bound if they had been trading above that 6680s, but since they've taken that out already, we're starting from the short side, looking for further weakness, see how far they can take it. Initially looking to sell strength at the 66, at this point, 70s, 80s, up to this 80, 90 level. And I would say if they trade up above that 6680s, I'm thinking I'm going to take off the long bias and go back more range bound. But as long as they stay below that 6680s, I think we are on our way lower. And they're going to run into pretty good support right now at the 60s, the 50s, and the 40s. But remember, below 40s, we're getting into that gap closure time area again, and we can certainly see them run all the way down to the 6600s pretty quick. So we'll see how this whole thing shakes out. Right now, it looks to me like we at least have from the London close a pretty good, a pretty good amount of weakness coming our way. All right, so starting from the short side, and watch that 6680s. Above that, we take off the short bias, go back range bound. Still looking for shorts against the 66 in 90s, I would say, maybe even up to the 6700s. A bit less aggressively, but if you're going to run it up here and fake you out, that's fine. Um, I'm still looking, we are still in the stage two, looking for a spot to cut off the selling. Let's hope it doesn't turn into an elevator down day, or an actual move out of the middle to the downside. And I split it out a little bit differently. So you can, if you leave this guy up like this, you can see how it's okay, fine, his backs off the high. So we're still heading back down to potentially find support in this area. If you look at if you fold this together, you can see it could very well be also start of a move out of the middle, and that is the two options we have in front of us. And it's guys, you just have to watch the support areas at 60s, the 50s, and the 40s. Still looking to buy against them a little bit less aggressively, but all three comes out and it starts trading below that 6640s. Bets are off, and we're heading lower at that point. All right, so that's how we get started on the ES. Looking at well, let's take a look at the news before I keep running here. News this morning, we have a ton of stuff coming out at 8:30. So we got the durable goods, GDP, international trade, jobless claims, corporate profit, retail, wholesale inventories, all happening at 8:30. So we got a good chunk of stuff coming out there. A few of them could be market moving. Thereafter, existing home sales at 10. And we have Fed speakers in between and a 7-year auction at 1. So bulk of stuff at 8:30, and then we have the 10 o'clock news after that. So that's what we got going. Okay, so looking at the bonds and the NASDAQ, One market not doing much. They're kind of yawning at this. They're down here testing. Here we have the retest in the overnight at the 116s. So let's see if this is going to hold or not. So here is your retest. It happened in the overnight, so we'll see if they're going to get. They maybe have a shot at getting down here at the in the get started the trading day. But if they take out the 116th, stay on the short side. Let's see how far they can take it. Yields may become going higher. If this retest holds, we may have a nice rotation back up again. So let's see what happens there when that retest failure setup. So first time to it, it bounced, but this is the overnight, and I would like to see it happening in a day session too for me to start really thinking about it as from a retest failure perspective. On the Nasdaq side of things, here we are really heading lower. It looks pretty freaking weak. So they have been taking out this. We are already retracing this low volume area down here below that 670 level. So Nasdaq is looking a lot weaker. They were strong pretty good for a while, but now we're looking at a lot weaker market on that guy. Again, folding the stuff together, you can see potential move out of the middle to the downside. We already taken out that volume area that's a 650 to 700. So we're in kind of a little bit of a trouble on the Nasdaq here. Let's see if that ledge here is going to hold at the 500s. If that holds, we may have a shot at finding our support. Otherwise, we can certainly be down here in that gap closure down in the 24,000 pretty quick. It could be a definitely elevator down kind of a day in front of us. So watching it, it's being anytime I see this kind of weakness in the overnight, and when hang on, let me see something here. Anytime I see this kind of weakness in the overnight, when it's just a net selling like this, there's just no lift at all. I always get like, okay, someone is liquidating, distributing, selling, and if that starts picking up in the day session as the rest of the trading community kicks in, and that's what causes an elevator down kind of a trading day. So be mindful about it. We're still on the Nasdaq. We are at borderline or already starting with that kind of selling, starting to kick in. ES not quite there yet, but let's see what happens. All right, so I haven't taken. I was tempted to hop on a trade here, but I'm just watching it to see if I'm right on that, or if that elevator day looks like it's continuing, or if this is just early morning weakness we are looking at. But then again, so when you see that kind of a selling, and if you look at your stock portfolios, any stock market, it's just I don't see anything which is green. Everything is red. Everything is getting sold. And when you see that, that means that yeah, there's something going on for sure. So where we start, looking at the oil and gold to get started. Well, let me see here before I get there. On the Nasdaq, looking to sell strength, and let me show it this way. So on the Nasdaq, we're looking to sell against the 630s, the 670s up to that level 710s. If they trade up above 710s, I will take off the short bias and go back range bound. Still looking for shorts against 750 and maybe 780, but not as aggressively at that point. But watch that level, the 700 to 710. That comes out, I think we may be back at least range bound at that point. But if they stay below it, especially below that 670, then we are still in a pretty bad spot for this market to make a comeback. Finally, oil and gold. And gold, that's kind of holding right now. They've backed off pretty good yesterday, and they're right back up again. So a little pullback, a little shakeout of weak longs, and then right back up here to the 3780s, heading back up to 3800s. So I would stay range bound right now. Still leaning towards the long side in the bigger picture. We are still, we maybe in stage two. We'll see if this will cut off the selling at 3750s. This first the day we didn't extend for a while yesterday. So if that holds, we may enter stage three here tomorrow and see if they are going to build value here for a little bit, consolidate that move on gold. But initially, I would look to buy weakness at 3770. 3760s down to that 3750 level, these three support areas. Rotations back up. This one here could be a buying opportunity, 37.80, but it's pretty aggressive. We're pretty much trading there right now, but so I'm not going to count that just yet. So anyway, looking to buy weakness, kind of thinking that we may see another consolidation day on gold. They've been moving pretty aggressively, so maybe a day of consolidation or a couple of days of consolidation ahead. Not going to be very aggressive on the short side, but it could be shorts against that 37.90 and the 37, 3800, 3805 level here, these two resistance areas, maybe even up to the 3810. So these three resistance areas. But I'm going to be super aggressive on the short side on gold because it has been moving with a pretty good clip here. So if they're going to stay in the range, there could be short setups up here, but I would not be super aggressive about it. I would be giving it plenty of time to fail before I try to get on the short. Because you get these things here when it sits like this for a while and then finally fails, or it sits like this and starts trading higher. But if it gets stuck going sideways like it does over here, then you have at least a shot at least a reason to take the trade. If it starts heading higher like this, you don't want to step in front of that at all. Or just a couple of rotations up there, you don't want to step in front of that one. That's a little bit too aggressive. And then finally, oil. It's kind of just holding here at the upper edge of the range at the 60, 64, 75, and 65s. So I would start off looking for early strength if they're trying to push this higher, but I'm going to be looking for one of these to fail and rotate and rotation down. That's kind of the default bread and butter trade. So 64, I'm looking for shorts again, 64.75, 65s up to that 65.50, 60 level. It could be something in between, but I think these two first one is the ones I'm watching. Above that one, I would be a little bit less aggressive on the short side, just in case they're going to try to take this higher. But right here, we are up against upper levels of resistance, so worth looking at for a potential short setup. And so what I'm talking about is this. We're right up here against these upper areas, so worth taking a looking for short setups here. But if it comes out, you can certainly trade up in this upper area. That would be and not quite what I would expect, but it can certainly happen. All right, so that's oil. Starting off looking for early strengths, but looking for a short opportunity up here for rotations and back down again. And that's pretty much where we are. Let's go back to the ES. And both ES, okay, it looks like we're getting a little bit of lift here. Coming back up, maybe look for here potential short against that 66.70 retest against the tablet. So let's see if this little rotation down here was it. Not quite believe it. It seems to be a little bit too good, but it's let's see how the whole thing shakes out. But right now, the ES is down here at the spot where if they start taking out these lows, the 60s, I would be a lot less aggressive. I would be looking maybe for a short opportunity. Still looking to buy against the 50s and the 40s, but just had to be mindful that you don't sell into one of those support areas. You don't want to sell into the 66, 60s or 50s or 40s. You do want to, but if you start taking out one of those levels, that's when you can look for your entry. Alrighty, guys, that's where we are. We'll leave it there for now, and I'll see you back at 11:30 for the next update. All right, guys, later.